All right, I've got a glaze, I've got a coffee, and I have a helpful cat who will probably make an appearance. Let's do a glaze review. As long as I don't mix up my coffee and the glaze water, we'll be good. So today I'm going to review Sangria glaze from Spectrum. Spectrum is a Canadian company that makes glazes. As far as I know, it's the only Canadian company. I have used a few other glazes, not very many. With my clays, the Spectrum glazes have a bit of a tough time. They like to craze on my clays. So we'll see how this goes. You can see that I've tried this one before. It's a really pretty glaze, lead-free, non-toxic, dinnerware safe. So like Mayco, they put right on their glaze bottles whether or not it's safe for dinnerware. So for knives and forks and that kind of use. I have, there's the cat. I have 1 cup. I call these my cloud cups because they feel kind of like holding a cloud. This one, and there goes the cat off of the chair. This one is thrown from Reclaim. So as a reminder, that has some Pottery Supply House stoneware in it. It has some porcelain in it. It has some remnants of the dark granite floating about and some of the buff. This is... The cat has a lot to say today. This is a Reclaim bowl as well. I think from a different batch of Reclaim. You can see there's a little bit of a color difference there. Pardon me while I lock the cat out. Yeah, I know. I don't know. In you go. All right, where were we? You can see that these are different colors, so they would have been different batches of Reclaim. And the reason that I'm using this one is because it has texture on it, so we'll see what the Sangria does on texture. Then we have this taller cloud cup. This is either porcelain or stoneware. I've thrown some stuff with both recently. I think this is porcelain. But either way, it's a nice light test body for us. And then we have our red clay test tile. This is either Pottery Supply House 500 or 505. I am not sure. We will discover once it's fired. And we are going to test it today with Amaryllis. This glaze looked really nice layered with the rose quartz. So I'm curious to see what it does with Sangria, which is kind of a darker reddish pink color. And I think we'll try that on the Reclaim cup. Why not? Today I am also testing filming in my sunroom, which is quite noisy. So there is a possibility that this will end up being a voiceover glaze review. We'll see. What should we start with? Start with a flat one. Now, I have used this glaze before, so I wonder if I should risk putting it on the outside of this bowl. I don't know. It'll look pretty if I just leave a nice border at the top there. So we'll do that. Oops. Not a very neat border. Maybe we can tidy that up later. Left this line on the cloud cups very deliberately. That is where I want the glaze to stop. Oops. It'd help if I paid attention to what I was doing. Oh, for Pete's sake. One coat done. You're probably not supposed to have coffee while you glaze, but as the British say, needs must. This mug was actually one of the first ones that I threw on my wheel when I bought it. So I'm a little attached to it. I'm going to start on the bottom with this one, and I'm not going to talk, and we'll see if I can do a better job. All right, we have one coat on everything. Time to reward myself with coffee. And that's 2 coats on everything. This is gonna have to dry, so maybe we'll go let the cat in. Come on. I know. Okay, 3rd coat. Now, I will say that often Spectrum glazes look pretty darn good with just 2 coats. So on this bowl, for sure, I'm just doing the 3rd coat up along the top. I'm going to leave this with 2 coats because it's a flat surface. And this one, this one. I'll decide as I'm glazing it. For sure, we're going to do 3 coats along the top. Because this is a floating glaze, I am not too worried about the lines at the bottom. Inside, I'm definitely not going all the way to the bottom because there's a lot of vertical space there, and I don't want to get thick glaze and pinholes at the bottom of the cup, and then it might not be usable. I'm realizing as I'm sitting here that I am putting this on top of that cup, so probably 2 coats would have been a better idea. This time, I will remember to use a drip tray. Always, always, always wipe off your jars before you put the lid back on. Otherwise, it will glue itself together. So this was a little unexpected. The Amaryllis has cracked. So that was the 2nd glaze that I put on top of the sangria. And you can see here, it's got some little cracks on it. It's almost like it's trying to flake off. So I'm spraying water on it and kind of smushing it back down. And I am hoping for the best. But I have heard horror stories about glazes that have cracked like this, kind of flying off pots in the kiln. I'm a little concerned about that, not gonna lie, but we're going to be brave and we're going to fire it anyway and cross our fingers. With some really interesting results with our Sangria test. Overall, a really consistent glaze. If I set these two down on their side, you can see that everything really looks like it's glazed with the same glaze, which is not always the case. The one that was a little different was this guy, and I'm not sure if this is different because it's a horizontal surface, and so all the floating bits just kind of stayed. You can see on this one where there's the lighter colors that are floating on top of that darker pink color, or if this result is because it's red, because I didn't do a red test tile that had a vertical surface on it. A bit of an oversight in my testing, but the important thing for me is to know that this doesn't pinhole on the red clays. There you can see the reflection, and it's a nice smooth surface. I think it looks a little orange peely there, but it isn't in person. So this glaze will work on my PSH 505 clay. Even on the horizontal surface, you get that nice floating effect, although it's not quite as dynamic as it is on the vertical surfaces. This is the Sangria just on its own. This turned out to be a porcelain cup, and I'm doing another video that will come out soon about using alumina hydrate to prevent these little pits that happen on the bottom of my porcelain pots. It's called plucking. Anyway, so keep an eye out for that. But other than that, this is a beautiful result. I absolutely love this. There's some movement here, some variation in the glaze. It's got the dark pinks and the lighter pinks. Did wonderfully inside. There's no pitting, no pinholes. I haven't heard a lot of pings from this either, so that means that it's a reasonably good fit for the porcelain, which is nice to know because I had tried using some Spectrum glazes on stoneware, and that had not been a great fit. It was a fairly stable glaze. You can see here it kind of moved a tiny bit, but not much, nothing I would be concerned about. You can see in this cup where the glaze is a little thinner up at the rim because it has drifted downwards, it's that hotter pink color. And then where it's thicker, you get the floating colors, a lighter pink. And in person, it almost looks purple. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get that to show up on camera. But it's just a beautiful, beautiful color. We really like this. The next test tile was our Reclaim cup. Obviously, I didn't do a good job of cleaning my bottoms. But that's okay. We'll sand that, and it'll still leave a bit of a residue. Not ideal, but it's not like a crack in the bottom. We can work with this. This was the Sangria with the Amaryllis on top. Really interesting result here because the Sangria has really taken over. You can see a bit of the Amaryllis crystals here in these darker stripes and these little lighter spots, but none of that pink really came through. So the Amaryllis has that pink base to it, and you're not really seeing that here. In some places, it's almost orange. And you can see fairly well where the Amaryllis was and how far it's run down. And then this down here is just the Sangria. And the Sangria part, very consistent on the porcelain and the Reclaim. So this is kind of interesting. I'm not sure that I would, bring it into rotation for pieces that I'm going to produce and sell, but it's not a bad result. The inside looks good. There are a couple of pinholes here, which is not ideal, so I'll probably sand those down and then I'll keep it and use it myself. I don't like to sell things with pinholes in them. So good to know. The reclaim has a bit of manganese in it because there is some buff speckle from PSH in this reclaim. It seems like maybe the Sangria doesn't love that. My cat has come to visit. This one, really, Snowball? This one is my favorite of the bunch. I actually, when I saw this in the kiln, I was really excited. This, again, is reclaim, and it looks quite similar to this, so probably the same batch of reclaim. But it had texture on it, right? So there was texture all around, and then there was that spiral. Hello? Hello, Snowball. Yeah, hi. I'll show you what's going on here. We have 2 cats. Oh, now one's gone. This one is my favorite, and I really, really like this. I will use this glaze again on texture. This is gorgeous. There was texture around the outside, a little bit of a softer texture. I actually made it using rock that I found. I'm one of those people that kind of collects interesting rocks. And so I used it to make some texture there. And then I also had a spiral stamp in the bottom of this. And this was obviously not wheel thrown. This was hand built. It was a little bit of extra reclaim at the end of a batch. And it just does gorgeous things on this texture. Know if it's coming across in the video or not, but again, there's this light purpley hue to the floating bits. I'm not seeing any pinholes on this. There is one rough spot, but that was my fault. There was a piece of clay or something that I didn't clean off quite right, so we'll sand that down. But on this one, I'm not seeing any pinholes. So interesting that we got a pinhole on the cup made of reclaim, but we didn't get it on this little bowl. No idea why. So I love this result, and I will do this again, use Sangria on a textured surface. Now I have one bonus tile for you. This is a tile that I did actually for another glaze review that I'm going to be doing. It's a review of Amaco's Indigo Float glaze. While I was doing that review, I decided, hey, why not throw Sangria on top of Indigo Float? Because Sangria is a very different color. Indigo Float is kind of a periwinkle blue, I would call it, when it's thick. And when it's thinner, it's kind of a greeny blue. So I put Sangria on top of it. And this is what happened. We completely lost the Sangria. You just kind of made a brighter blue with the Indigo Float. So underwhelming as a combination, but interesting. Interesting that on this one, the Sangria overpowered the Amaryllis, and on this one, the Indigo Float overpowered the Sangria. So there you have it. Sangria from Spectrum Glazes. I'd love to know what you think about this glaze. I'd love to know if you would use it or if you've tried other combinations with Sangria that have turned out really well or really terribly. Let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear about it. Again, thanks for watching. And if you found this video useful, you'd like to see more of them, please give me a like so that I know that you enjoyed it. And if you'd like to be the first to know about future videos, hit that subscribe button.